All right, Jim Little just got fired after only 54 days on the job as CEO for the Ottawa Senators. I'm going to try to explore why he got fired and what this means in the long run for the Ottawa Senator. All of that coming up next. Sorry about that. So, my name is Matt. Welcome to the Sin Bin. Now, I wanted to make this video because it's pretty much in the news, okay? And I like to keep up with pretty much every team in the NHL. Now, I'm going to preface this. I don't follow all of the Ottawa Senators games, and much less I don't really know what happens behind the scenes. I will tell you what I do know. The Ottawa Senators have sort of become the joke of the NHL throughout the years. We all know of that run they made where they were one goal away from being the Pittsburgh Penguins and going to the Stanley Cup Finals, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to go much into that. But when I say they've become the joke of the NHL, I don't really blame it on the players. I don't really blame it on the coaches. I blame it on one person and one person only, and that is Eugene Melnick. It seems like every time there's a controversy revolving around the Ottawa Senators, it involves their owner, Eugene Melnick. I don't know what type of guy he is behind the scenes. He might be a good guy. He might be a prick. I really don't know. But when it comes to his hockey decisions, there's just been controversy after controversy after controversy. I mean, this is the guy who at the Winter Classic, okay, the Centennial Classic with the Montreal Canadiens, whatever it's called, he came out and said, hey, I'll relocate the team. You know, an occasion that's supposed to be celebrated and everything, he flat out comes out and says, I'll relocate the team. And then there was obviously that really awkward interview with Mark Borowiecki where they were just talking about the organization and the direction they were going in. By the way, first of all, he's not even wearing an up-to-date jersey. That's probably the jersey from fucking 2011. Second of all, I want a girl to look at me like Eugene Melnick looks at this fuckhead. I mean, just look at his stance and look at his eyes. But anyway, the reason why I bring up Eugene Melnick is because obviously he's above Jim Little. Now, again, let me repeat myself. I don't know much about Jim Little himself. I don't know much about the hockey operations going on in Ottawa. So I found an article on the internet. I found a couple actually, and we're kind of going to go through them and we're going to speculate. Nothing I'm about to say is factual because the fact of the matter is there is no real, concrete, 100% facts of why Jim Little got fired. But with that being said, I can report to you that after the firing happened, which again, it was less than 2 months after being hired, the team announced that he was dismissed as a result of conduct inconsistent with the core values. This makes me think it might not be like a hockey reason. It might not be because he wants the team to go one way. Maybe Melnick and the coach wants the team to go another way. This seems to be more of a conduct issue, of a personality issue. I feel like they had a phone call or a meeting or something like that. We'll get to that a little bit later. And there was some very harsh language. There were some vulgar terms. And again, I don't know if it totally stems from hockey. This could be something really separate. Maybe Jim Little fucked Eugene Melnick's daughter or something like that. I don't know. Now, Jim Little did come out and he did say, I was looking forward to helping the team and the city and the Ottawa Senators. I wish the employees, the players, and the coaches well. They all deserve our support. Now, this article that I have, they go on to say, the statement made today by the team contains some language that deserves some clarification. On Valentine's Day, the owner and I had a personal disagreement over the approach that I had been pursuing. I am a strong-willed person, and the disagreement including me using some very strong language over the phone, including swearing, which she did not appreciate, which I later apologized. So maybe there was some hockey involved in all of this. Excuse me. Maybe he saw the team going one direction. Maybe Melnick saw it going the other direction. But I have a feeling most teams, most organizations that aren't named the Ottawa Senators, 54 days, not even 2 months, they kind of would have played things through, kind of play things by ear. Just look at the Montreal Canadiens. Claude Julien is doing an abysmal job as head coach. What does Marc Bergevin do? He gives him his endorsement for the next year. So even if they had some disagreement, I find it weird that Eugene Melnick didn't at least give him a chance. No, more than 2 months. 2 months is absolutely nothing. So that's why I say the reason he got fired, the real reason, is because during that phone call, that famous phone call, there must have been some words being exchanged. Maybe he used some harsh terms. Eugene Melnick, from what I hear about him, it's his way or the highway. And maybe he doesn't like being talked to in a certain way. So you talk to me that way, bam, you're out. 2 months, I don't care. What does this mean for the Ottawa Senators? Obviously, this reflects sort of poorly because when they hired Jim Little, I don't know if I've been calling him Jim Lights throughout this video, but when they hired Jim Little, one of the statements that Eugene Melnick had, he said, an extensive search was conducted to find the right leader to guide the organization into the next decade. Into the next decade. Hey, he didn't even last 2 months. And this was the fruit of your labor? This was the fruits of an extensive search? It reflects poorly on the organization. And I don't think it's the end of the world. You can always go and hire another CEO. A team like the Ottawa Senators, I'm sure there's a lot of people chomping at the bit to be the CEO. And I do gotta say, as far as the team goes, I love what they're doing. A lot of people scoffed at the Erik Karlsson trade. I don't think too many people are scoffing now. The Ottawa Senators have a legitimate chance to have 2 picks in the top 5 draft picks this year. I mean, that is a tremendous boost for any team. But for me, the problem is behind the scenes. I don't see them winning with a guy like Eugene Melnick. A guy who, let's face it, he thinks a lot about the green. He thinks a lot about the cents and the dollars and all of that. And he's a very prideful guy. If you overstep boundaries in any way, if you try to contradict him, if you try to propose any ideas, you might be out the door. So I sort of think that's what happened with Jim Little. If I were to continue with this specific article, because it is a really good article, they say 54 days of progress. We still don't know exactly what led to this firing, and we may never know. Again, I'm speculating here. This is all hardcore speculation. Take it with a grain of salt. We have some clues, mostly vague and sometimes contradictory, but no solid answer. The press release points to a behavioral issue as a result of conduct inconsistent with the core values of the Ottawa Senators and the National Hockey League. Now, Gary Bettman himself, he's ruled out abusive behavior. We all know what's happened with, Bill Peters, Mark Crawford, sort of the witch hunt that's been going on in the NHL. I don't think this is a case with Jim Little. Again, I'm going to reiterate myself. I think that he overstepped boundaries. And whereas a lot of owners, other than Eugene Melnick, maybe they would have swallowed that, a guy like Eugene Melnick, he's not going to take any of that shit. So I think that's pretty much all that I have to say. Bettman also said this decision had more to do with internal operation and to ask the Senators for more details. Why do you think Jim Little got fired? Do you think it's a hockey reason? Do you think it's something unrelated, something behind the scenes that's got nothing to do with hockey? Do you think he overstepped his boundaries? Do you share the same opinion about Eugene Melnick that I do? Please let me know in the comments below. Again, I'm not like the most knowledgeable when it comes to the Ottawa Senators management. So if I've made any errors so far in my video, if I said something that wasn't factual, please feel free to correct me. I'll actually really appreciate that. And if you like this video and you want to check out more videos, make sure to drop a like to keep the channel going and make sure to subscribe. Make sure to also follow me on Twitter at thesinbin1996. And I don't think I've put the link in the description, but you can always follow us on Discord. Without further ado, my name is Matt. Keep your stick on the